Hello beautiful people of the internet, my name is Jackie and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So, I am super excited to talk about the new promo that we got for Game of Thrones Season 8. We just found out that the final season is going to premiere on April 14th. I am so excited. That is earlier than I was expecting. It's also my dad's birthday. So this was just a quick promo, less than 2 minutes long, and we didn't get any scenes that are going to be in Season 8. However, this promo still made me really excited for the final season, and I think there is some imagery in here that is worth dissecting. So if you haven't by some chance seen this promo, I'm imagining that most of you have seen it by now because it's everywhere. I'll insert it right here so you all can watch and then we'll discuss.
You have to protect him. Horror that's come to my family. It's all because I couldn't love a motherless child.
You are a Stark. You might not have my name, but you have my blood.
This really is a Stark-centric promo, and I love that because the Starks are, as you probably know, my favorite family on Game of Thrones, and in my opinion, they're just really the heart and soul of this show. The Starks are the closest thing Game of Thrones has to a main family, so I really like that this promo focuses on Jon, Sansa, and Arya. However, there is one significant omission. Bran is not in this promo, or is he? But we'll get to that. The first significant image you see in this promo is when Jon walks past the statue of his mother, Lyanna Stark, a feather falls to the ground. Now, this feather is a callback to two significant scenes that took place in front of Lyanna's statue in the crypts. The first of these two scenes was between Ned and Robert in the pilot episode of Game of Thrones, where they went down to Lyanna's statue to pay their respects, and Robert placed this feather in Lyanna's outstretched hand. Then later, when Sansa and Littlefinger are in front of Lyanna's statue discussing Lyanna's kidnapping by Rhaegar, Sansa picks up this feather, which is still there. It really makes sense for this feather to still be there since season 1 because it's a feather. It's not going to wither away like a flower would have, and I also really don't think there would be that many people going down to the crypts to clean up. I would imagine that's a place that really only the Starks themselves go. So Lyanna's statue probably has been relatively untouched for several years. In both of these scenes, we see the characters discuss Rhaegar's kidnapping and rape of Lyanna. So I think this feather really symbolizes that myth that was passed around, that lie that Rhaegar kidnapped Lyanna. So by showing it falling to the floor, we're seeing that Jon is going to find out the truth about his parents, that they actually really were in love and that they loved him. And I think this is going to happen early on in the season because the feather falls to the ground before the ice comes in and freezes it. So I think Jon is going to find out that he is Rhaegar and Lyanna's son very early on in the season, possibly at the end of episode 1 or at the beginning of episode 2 at the latest, so we can see him grapple with this revelation before the Night King comes. Now, another thing that I don't think a lot of people have been discussing, but that I did see some GIFs about on Tumblr, is Sansa's hair in this scene. Now, you may or may not know, but the way that Sansa's hair is styled is very relevant to where her character is at the time. Her hair is usually modeled after someone who is a mentor to her, who she admires at that time, or someone who she is thinking about. So people have been discussing who they think Sansa's hair looks like. with some saying they think it looks like Lyanna's hair in the flashback we saw of her, and others saying it looks like Daenerys' hair because Daenerys always has braids in her hairstyle after the Dothraki tradition of adding braids to your hair for every victory you've won. So this could show that Sansa is thinking about Lyanna, or that she has decided to ally herself with Daenerys. Now, I think it's most likely modeled after Lyanna's hair because the real main theme of this promo, in my opinion, is how the Starks are going to react to the truth about Jon's parentage. So I think contextually it makes more sense for them to have modeled her hair after Lyanna. However, I just want to add that I do think, despite the initial tensions between Sansa and Daenerys we saw in that really quick scene preview for Season 8, I think after the two of them get to know each other, they really will reach an understanding. I think Sansa and Daenerys have been through very similar life experiences. They've both been rape survivors, and they've undergone a lot of similar trauma, which they have emerged from stronger. And I think once the two of them have an opportunity to talk, they will realize that they have a lot in common and become allies. The North needs Daenerys if they want to defeat the Night King. She gave them dragonglass from her ancestral home, and she has brought her armies to help them. And that is something that I don't think Sansa, being the politically smart person she is, can overlook. I do not see her disliking Daenerys for her own petty reasons, and I think once they meet and talk about what they've been through, they'll realize that they are natural allies. We also hear in voiceover in this clip Catelyn's quote about how all the horrors that befell House Stark are because she couldn't love a motherless child, Jon. This is from the scene in Season 3 where Catelyn is talking to Robb's wife Talissa about Jon. One of my favorite scenes, by the way. It is just impeccably well done. Kudos to Michelle Fairley. She deserved so much more credit for her amazing performance as Catelyn. We also hear Ned's quote to Jon from Season 1 where he says, "You are a Stark. You may not have my name, but you have my blood." I think the significance of these two voiceovers together is that Catelyn blamed the bad things that happened to House Stark on her inability to accept Jon. However, this time, I think when Sansa and Arya find out about Jon's true parentage, they're going to decide that it doesn't matter to them. Jon is their brother no matter what. He is a Stark, even if he is also part Targaryen. So I think possibly, since this time Jon will be accepted as a part of the family, perhaps House Stark will finally emerge victorious. Perhaps the fates will finally turn now that they've made the decision that they are going to accept Jon regardless of his parentage. We also see Jon, Sansa, and Arya stopping in front of statues of themselves, possibly hinting that they may die. However, I don't think this means that all three of them are going to get killed off in Season 8. I think this represents that Jon, Sansa, and Arya are going to have to confront their own mortality. There is a chance that they could die in this war, and that is something that they are going to have to grapple with. The knowledge that they could die and they may have to give up their own lives. I don't think that if they were all going to die, the show would make it that obvious. It just represents that there are going to be losses in this battle, and that's something that the characters are going to have to reconcile. Now finally, the question that I teased at the beginning of this video. Where is Bran in this promo? We see all the other significant Stark characters, even some of them that are dead, we hear their voiceovers, but Bran, a Stark who's still alive in Season 8, isn't there. Now, there is a very popular theory that Bran might actually be the Night King, that Bran's time traveling causes him to accidentally get turned into the Night King, and he ends up being this villain all along. Now, personally, I don't believe in that theory just because we saw a flashback to when the children turned the man who would become the Night King, and it doesn't look like Bran. Personally, I do think that Bran will play a great part in defeating the Night King. There is this connection between Bran and the Night King. It's been theorized that the Night King is also a green seer with powers very similar to Bran's, and Bran has been touched by the Night King. So I think when it comes time to defeat him, Bran is going to have to wage some sort of mental battle against the Night King in order to defeat him. Possibly possibly sacrificing his own life to do so. If you want to think from a practical standpoint, perhaps the reason we don't see Bran with the others in this promo is just because, you know, we don't want to see someone else having to push Bran. It doesn't look as visually pleasing, or just because Bran has really lost a lot of his sense of self, so he wouldn't have the same emotional reactions that the other characters would. Another really crazy tinfoil hat theory that I want to bring up is the theory that the Night King was a Stark, which could possibly be indicated by the presence of this ice, this winter heralding his coming inside the crypts, because the crypts is a very special place for House Stark. And in the books, we see Jon dream about the crypts. They seem in the books to have some sort of deeper meaning. Some people have theorized that the Night King's wife, the Night Queen, is buried somewhere in the crypts, and that's what he's coming to get. I don't really know. Personally, I like the tinfoil hat theory that the Night King was once a Stark, or possibly that he was even a Stark bastard whose name was also Jon Snow. Now, there's really no evidence as to that having been his name, but I just think it would be a really cool reveal. So that's my crazy, no evidence, I just really like it theory. There's also been another tinfoil hat theory that the Night King is going to raise all of the dead Kings of Winter from the crypts and add them to his army. But personally, I'm not a big fan of this theory, just because some of those dead kings have been buried in the crypts for many, many years, for centuries, some of them even. So at this point, I don't know how much is actually left of them. They're just bones, some of them possibly even dust that has decayed away. So I don't really see how the Night King could raise them from the dead after they've been there for so long. So I don't really know if that would actually happen. It is a cool thought that they could all rise again. I just don't think it's very likely. So guys, let me know, are you as hyped for the final season of Game of Thrones as I am? I am so excited for it to come out. My expectations are so high, and I'm just ready to fast forward to April already. I am so excited for this final season to come out. So let me know your thoughts on this promo. Did you like it, or are you just so disappointed that it's not a trailer that you couldn't fully enjoy it? Let me know your thoughts on my theories in this video. Please like this video if you enjoyed, and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more from me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye, and I hope to see you in the next video.